Hi, and welcome to Yoga Within's YouTube channel. My name is Lisa. I am a trained yoga teacher through the studio of Yoga Within, as well as through the Yoga Association of Alberta in Canada. And so today we're going to do a chair practice, and I've lined out some props that you might have at home. You may or may not really need too many props here in this practice today, but I wanted to quickly give you a heads up on what you might need and grab from home. Of course, we have our traditional yoga props. We've got a yoga strap, we've got blocks as well as a bolster. And so the non-traditional yoga props we have here, we've got some resistance band, we've got a necktie, a belt, as well as some pillows. So if you can find something that will act like a yoga strap, if you don't have a yoga strap, a belt, a TheraBand, or a resistance band, and a tie, that's going to help us in our practice today in the chair. So if you like this video, be sure to give it a good old thumbs up, and of course subscribe for more videos on the Yoga Within YouTube channel. Enjoy! So we're going to start our practice, of course, in a chair. So if you haven't grabbed a chair yet, make sure you get yourself a nice sturdy chair. It can have armrests, it doesn't have to have armrests. You see my chair here doesn't actually have armrests. And what other sort of props, as I noted already, some form of straps. So we've got an actual yoga strap or any of these other varieties that I mentioned. So hopefully you were able to grab something for yourself to use in today's practice. So we'll just have that on hand beside us. And then when you come to a seated position, this is where the pillow or the yoga block or bolster might be helpful, is that for myself, my inseam is relatively short, and so when I sit back into my chair, look what happens. My feet are free flying and dangling, and so we really want to ground our body on the foundation that we have, and I kind of lose out with my legs when they're dangling in space. So for me, finding something that can prop my feet, if you have at home, would probably be some pillows. For my practice today, I'm going to use actually one single foam block. I find that is really the most useful for me, that I can get that support that I need with my practice. Okay, so finding that grounded position, that strap can just be off to the side for now. Sitting back and finding that comfortable position. It might take a couple tries to see where that block needs to fall and where the body needs to land. Making sure that you feel as if the chair has your back, literally and figuratively. And then I invite you to slowly soften your gaze or close your eyes. Taking our hands and placing them palm up on our thighs. As we open our palms up, we're demonstrating that we are open for our practice. We're looking to receive whatever our practice is going to bring for us today. And not only are we going to receive, but we're also going to give during our practice. Allow those palms to stay open as you gently find your breath. Take a moment right now to see how long is your inhalation. It may be 4 counts, it might be 5 or 6 or 7. Just put on your inquisitive hat and see how long is your inhalation. Now shift your direction to your exhalation. how many counts is your exhalation? Simply an observation, no judgment required. And now thinking of both your inhalation and exhalation. Are those two equal in duration? Is the inhale for 5 counts and the exhale for 5 counts? Or is one slightly shorter or longer than the other? Again, no judgment, simply observation. And as you deepen your breath, think about trying to match the inhalation to the exhalation. And then softly let it all go. Return to your normal breath. Taking a moment to reflect on what you'd like to give in this practice today, alongside what you'd like to receive for this practice or with this practice today. And now I invite you to take the largest breath you've taken all day. And gently and softly start moving the toes. Just let them pitter-patter a little bit on the floor. If the feet are raised up on a block, you might feel that gentle cushion as you allow the toes to move up and down. And gently taking our fingers now with the palms remaining up and spreading them as wide as you can. And gently opening the eyes and taking your glance just slightly to those fingers, seeing how wide those fingers can come apart. Taking those hands together now, clasping the fingers together and slowly rotating those wrists. My toes are still pitter-pattering, but you do not need to keep those toes moving. They can now slow down and stop as you press your feet into the floor or onto the block. And then release those hands and spread those fingers nice and wide. And then bring those hands back to that clasp position. But this time I want you to switch the clasp. So before I switched, my left thumb was over my right thumb. And then as I switched, now my left thumb is under my right thumb. So make that switch. It's going to feel super awkward. It's probably the way that you never clasp your hands, and that's quite all right. We've got to sort of give the body different challenges, because the body loves to take the path of least resistance. So let's challenge not only our physical self, but also our mind as well as we switch those fingers around. Good. And then taking those hands, clasping apart. Take those hands nice and wide again, seeing how much space can you get between those fingers. And then completely let it go. Shake out those wrists and release them. We'll take the arms now down to the sides, palms facing forward. I'm looking for the movement now at the shoulder joint. So what will happen is my palm is going to face in, but my whole entire arm is going to rotate back. So the rotation is happening at the top of the arm bone, our humerus. It's a ball and socket joint that likes to rotate. So taking both hands, palms face back, and then palms face forward. So the movement is coming for the whole entire arms, not just the bottom part or the forearm, rotating, finding that space and that rotation through that ball and socket joint. The joint is quite mobile, so you might be able to feel a lot of movement. Good, we'll go one more time. And then taking those palms and facing them up towards the ceiling, having that arm at a 90-degree angle. We're going to kiss the pinky fingers together and then slowly press them apart. So almost thinking that there's a magnet between the pinkies, like growing together, 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 and then it's a negative attraction, so then they're being pulled, 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 pulled away. So magnet them together, and then they rebound against each other, and it's a negative pull away, way, way. Good. So we want to make sure that we're actually using the muscles in our shoulders to move our arms. It's not simply just floating through the actions. We're actually purposely moving that arm with intention and engagement. Working on strength through the muscle group called the rotator cuff. Now one side could very well be different than the other. You might notice in my body that my left can go further back than my right. No big deal, just simply where my shoulder is today. Coming back, bringing those pinkies together, we're going to flip the palms now down away from us and see if we can move those arms in the same way. What you might find is that there's less range of motion. You're not able to go as far. Keeping those elbows glued into the side of your body. It's almost like you're painting. So if you had like finger paints on the tabletop and you're washing your hands back and forth over that finger paint and making sort of a pattern almost shaped like a rainbow. Again, actively using the muscles to bring the arms together and then away. Good. And then release those arms down at the side. Give them a little shake out forward and back, almost like the shoulder is a pendulum. Let them kind of flow forward and back. Great job. And now we're going to situate our strap. So whatever you want to use for a strap, there's the band, there's the belt, there's the tie. Just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to actually use my husband's tie. And so what we'll do is we will find the two ends and give ourselves a loop. So go ahead and tie the tie around. If you have a strap, of course, you can use the buckle or the belt. And what we want to do is to find a circle that is about shoulder width apart. So we have that loop applying pressure to the outside of those arms above the elbows. So here's the position here, and then if I can give you that side view, here it is here. And so for myself, I can already feel already that I didn't make a small enough loop. There's not enough tension between my arms and the tie, so I'm going to just give it a little bit more of a tightening. Hopefully he doesn't want to wear this anytime soon. And then taking those arms through, so a little bit more, oh, no, didn't get it yet, tautness. Maybe I'll have to send it off to the dry cleaner to make it look a little less wrinkled then, if it gets wrinkled with all this yoga strap. Okay, so coming to this position, here we go. So from here, I want you to think about where your shoulders are right now. So we already talked about that arm bone being a ball and socket joint. are those sockets sort of reaching out? Or are they plugged in? So take a moment to just let those arms float forward and then back. Just thinking about the arm coming forward, away from the torso, and then back in. So what can happen is we sit in this position quite frequently because we do sit in a desk or a chair quite a lot. So we're quite rounded forward. So I want you to see if you can plug those shoulders in. Once you've gotten to that position, you might really be feeling those shoulders. So go ahead and place those arms down for a moment. Good. You might want to take the shoulders up and down just for a little release. Good. And then taking the arms back up, actively press the arms away from each other into your strap, belt, or tie. So you're really activating those arms. And then bend the arms at a 90 degrees. So you'll see here, there's my 90 degree. From here, we're going to just lift the arms up ever so slightly and then allow them to come back down. This is a really powerful movement. As we press the arms away and lift at the same time, we might start to feel a little warm. There's a lot of activity happening in that shoulder joint. Strength and power, as well as some flexibility too. Good. Connecting back to your breath. Take it one more time through. And then slowly release the arms down. Taking that strap off or tie off, and we're going to now take the arms back forward and down. So we're sliding those arms back and forth to release the arms. Now taking the arms back in front of us without that strap, can you actively press those arms away from each other with actually not moving them? So pressing coming out of here, pressing coming out of there, press, 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 and then bend those elbows and see if you can do that exact same movement we just did and activate those muscles without that external stimulus of that strap. Oh yeah, there those shoulders are. Again, feeling the heat that you're generating as you do this motion. Take yourself one more time through and then release. Good job, everyone. Those shoulders got a bit of a workout there. From there, I'd like you to come to a standing position beside your chair. We'll take the chair and move it so that the long back side of the chair is parallel to your body. And then from here, I want you to use the support of the chair as you bend your knees and lean slightly forward. What is happening now with my left arm is it actually is dropping out of that shoulder joint. Just as it had been dropped forward here, I'm purposely wanting that shoulder to drop out of that shoulder joint. From here, we'll do some gentle circles around. And you almost don't have to move the arm. The arm just starts sort of moving in this position. And then coming to the opposite direction. Really keeping the fingertips soft. Good. And then coming back to standing, we'll walk over and move our chair to come to the other side of us. Bending those knees slightly, letting that arm drop to the side, letting it hang now, again, dropping out of that shoulder joint. Let that head of the humerus drop, and then slowly incorporating that circular motion. Moving through, around the joint, making circles potentially with your fingertips, down on the floor. Good, and then releasing and coming the other direction. Now, of course, the further forward you fold, the more gravity will be working down on that shoulder. But if there's any back issues or hip issues, you might have to stay quite upright, but really drop that arm down. Good, and then release, stand nice and tall. Take those shoulders and just give them a little bit of a roll back, up and back to release. You might hear a little crickety crackety in the shoulder joint. That sometimes happens. It's just the movement of the joint. Now, of course, this practice is solely for you, so you need to listen to your body. So if any of the movement patterns aren't feeling good for you, then of course, either stop and try a different option, lessen the range of motion, or find something else to substitute in for that pose. From here, we will come so that we're facing the front of our chair. And just step back for a moment to see about a foot or two from the bottom of the chair, from the legs of the chair. And then I'd like you to step forward with your right foot. So you're coming into a bit of a staggered stance. So if I was facing you, it would look something like this. So my front foot and my back foot are parallel to one another, but I'm facing my chair, like so. And then from here, I want you to place your hands on your hip creases and see if you can bring the left hip back while you bring the right hip forward. So the the left foot's in front, so I'm trying to shift my back leg or my right leg forward so that my two hip bones are facing right towards my chair. And then from here, I want you to press down through your big toe and your little toe. Really feel the work of your feet as you slowly hinge from the hip crease. Now, that may be here, or that may be here, or this is why we have the chair. Place the hands down on the chair for support. Trying to keep the hips coming, either the front hip coming back and the back hip coming forward, so that almost the line of your hip here is in line with the front of that chair. Allow the crown of the head to come forward as you press your tailbone back, finding a long lengthening through the legs as well as the spine. And then depending on how this feels for you and how your back and hip feel today, you may sort of tent the fingers up and then come back up to standing. You may find that you need one hand to stay there and then the other hand to come back. So just find the variation that works best for you. But of course, when you need to come back up, those legs need to be strong to take you back to that standing position. Taking your front leg and stepping it back to meet the right foot. Now we'll step forward with our right leg, coming into that staggered stance, finding those hips, making sure that they're both facing forward, and then finding that position where the hips meet the torso. Hinging forward from those hips. Finding a position that feels good for you, pressing down through all 10 toes. Back hip is coming forward, front hip is coming back, and maybe you want those hands to land onto the seat. Lengthening through the spine and the crown of the head, keeping the knees slightly soft, so we're not hyperextending, we have a slight bend in through that front knee. See how long you can get through your spine and continue to breathe. Again, it's up to you what you feel like you want to do with getting back up. Is it tenting the fingers up and then coming to a standing position? Or is it taking one hand at a time, taking the one hand, pressing in, other hand to the hip, coming back up? Or probably the most challenging is just taking the hands away from the chair, using those legs really strongly to stand back up. So find a way to get back up to that standing position and then take that foot and step back to meet the other. Great. Now we'll come back to that left leg. It's going to come back forward. Square those hips forward. And then this time, I want you to think about your front left knee. That knee is going to bend and come in contact with your chair. If you need to, keep the hands on the hips as you actively press that knee into the chair. But of course, we don't want the chair to tip, so not pressing too hard, but at least you have that sort of point of contact. Really feeling a sensation through the back lower leg as you press that right heel down and square those hips towards the front of the chair. If it's in your practice, you're welcome to lift the arms to shoulder height or even take them up towards the ceiling. So up to you where the hands land as we stand here in our Warrior One pose. Good, straightening that knee and then stepping back to meet the feet. Coming forward with your right foot this time, planting it forward towards the chair, taking that back hip forward and front hip back, squaring that pelvis forward. Shift forward as you bend that front knee to come towards that chair. Pressing back down through that heel, decide where those hands might want to go. Strong, powerful legs. Thinking of those inner thighs coming in together to support you. And then straightening that knee and stepping back. Great job, everyone. Give those legs a bit of a shake out. And then from here, we'll take the chair and turn it around so that we have the back of the chair, or you could walk around and go on the other side, of course. And then from here, we'll hold on either on the side, or if you need more stability, come right behind the chair. So from here, we're going to take a quick glance down at our toes, and then not look at them again. So keep your gaze up in front of you. I want you to lift all 10 toes up off the ground. Lift them up, 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 lift them up, and then slowly let them come back down. Again, lifting all 10 toes up, lift, 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 nice and high, and then let them all come back down. Trying one more time, a generous bend in those knees if you need. Lift those toes up all the way off the ground. And I feel my pinky, it doesn't want to lift. So lift, 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 and then slowly let it come down. Good job, everyone. So really activate through those feet. Press down through those toes now. Thinking about the foot as a tripod. The pinky toe and the big toe acting as the base, and then the point coming all the way back to the heel. Almost like a triangle on the back or the bottom of the foot. From here, standing here, or standing here, we're going to come up onto those toes. So lifting the heels up, standing up, 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 up as high as you can, and then slowly lowering back down. Using the support of the back of that chair. Lifting up, 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 and then slowly coming back down. Really use all those 10 toes as you lift up, and then come back down. One last time, coming up, lifting those heels, and then slowly lowering them down. Great. Just releasing those legs, give them a bit of a shake out. And then what we'll do is staying either in this position or behind your chair for more stability. Come to a position where you've got your feet close, 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 close together, like as close as they can go together without any discomfort through the hips and back. Standing nice and tall. Again, don't forget about those toes. Press down through all those 10 toes and see if you could slowly let that hand lift off the chair. See if you can balance. You've narrowed your base of support to be very, very tiny. Can you hold that there? Hold, hold, hold. And then as you need support, grabbing that chair and then release. Release those feet, give them a bit of a shake. If you found that not to be overly challenging and you want a little bit more challenge, now I'd like you to try the toes of one foot going into the arch of the other. So it's almost like you have a staggered stance between your feet. We've narrowed your base of support even more, and then we'll see, can you take your hand off that chair? So activate those thighs, lift up through the legs as you see if you can release that hand. Good, balance, hold. Staying strong through the middle, keeping the chest open and shoulders down, and knowing that that chair is always there if you need it for support. Excellent, and then release, shake out those legs. We will come back to a seated position into our chair, so you might want to shift that chair around, finding your block if you need it, and then finding your strap again. So this time I'm going to opt to show you with, I think a belt should work. We'll see. So here is an actual belt for pants. Having that block if you need to, but this time we're going to sit forward onto the chair. So we're not resting our back on the back of the chair. We're actually sitting forward closer to the edge of the chair, but of course staying safe. We don't need to go too far over the edge. And then depending here how this is going to work. Oh yeah, it's going to work. Wasn't quite sure how long the belt was going to be. So we'll take that belt and wrap it around our thighs. Now in this case, I think this should work for me. But again, with the tie, knowing how tight you need to tie it to make the loop is really dependent on the size of your legs, as well as how much tie you have. So it's just, you may have to tie 2 ties together, or you might have to really cinch up one. It just really depends. You got to play with it a little bit. And then that band or the strap, it could be up the thighs a little bit, just as long as it's not applying any pressure to the knees. So I've pulled mine up a little bit up so that it's a little bit snugger. Okay, so from here, you might already feel that pressure on those thighs. Let's see if you can press those legs apart. Pressing them apart, lifting up and sitting tall, but actively trying to get those legs to come apart, and then slowly let the legs come back in together. So try again, press those legs apart, press, 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 and then slowly bring those legs back together. Good. Don't forget about that breath. Connect to that breath as you press away, bring those legs apart against that strap or that belt or that necktie, and then slowly come back. Let's go one more time, nice and strong. Let's hold it there. Press it back, away from that strap. Press, 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 press. Sitting nice and tall. Breathe for 3, 2, and 1. Great job. Release that strap, undo that belt, take off the tie. We were targeting the outsides of those thighs. And go ahead and just release, give those legs a little bit of a shake out one at a time if you want. You know, however that feels best. Good. And then from here, we will stay on the edge of the seat. And again, the foot, if your feet need some support, then go ahead and take that. Sitting nice and tall, I'd like you to take your fingertips out away from your body, pressing them back and away. So sitting nice and tall, keeping those ribs tucked in, so I'm not starting to flare them out. I want to keep them stacked right, my shoulders over ribs, over hips. So from here. Now the arms are going to come back and feel for the chair. So what I've done is, if I was sitting on my chair, my arm has come out and it's reaching back. I'm going to kind of clasp or cup around the back of my chair. So from here, coming all the way back, feel where that chair is. Now this may be it. We're getting a huge pull through the front of the chest, front of the body, this may be it. But if you want a little bit more, think about growing up through your spine and then allowing the strength of the feet and the legs, power them up as you lift up, 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 almost like you're rounding over a ball. So opening that chest, keeping that chin tucked. Think about a beach ball residing on the back of your spine. Rounding back, open, 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 squeeze through those shoulder blades, finding opening through your heart, and then slowly come back, keeping the arms where they were at the beginning, releasing them now, bringing them to your thighs, and then slowly bending forward and letting that torso come towards the thighs. In this position, go ahead and let the head completely drop. And let it release. The neck is going to get a nice long stretch. Take some really good deep breaths here. And with every inhale, you might actually feel the skin of your back expanding and lengthening as those lungs fill up. Take one more big breath here. And then as you exhale, release that torso one more time to the thighs. And then slowly roll up. So try to stack one vertebra at a time. Slowly coming until the neck comes on top. Excellent job. Let's now take our hands out to the sides. This time I'd like you to see if you can open again those palms facing forward. Remember, we're giving and we're receiving with those palms opened up away from us. Sitting up nice and tall, think about lengthening through the spine as you slowly tip over to your right. Tip, tip, tip. Now try not to move those arms. Keep them where they were from the starting point. And see if you can get a nice long line onto the side of the body. Good, sitting up nice and tall. Stack that spine over top of the pelvis. And then slowly coming back over here to your left-hand side. Find that length. Good, sitting up nice and tall. You may find spinning the fingertips up and over might feel good on the second time through. Really weight that arm down. That right arm goes down as the left arm comes up. Really reach and extend yourself over to the side, finding an opening through the left ribs and the side body. Reach up, up, up. Pull yourself up against the weight that's on your right hand. And then soften those fingertips down. Right fingertips go up. Weight is now in that left-hand side. Reach up nice and tall. Lift out of that pelvis. And then slowly tip over to the side. Reach, reach, reach. Weight and that hand is trying to pull you down. And then as you're ready, use the strength of your body to pull yourself up against that weight. And then let the fingertips drop. Good job. Take ourselves back to those arm swings, releasing that tension a little bit through the shoulders as we put them over our head. Good. Now taking our hands up onto our chest. We'll take our left hand under our right. Sit up nice and tall, and from here, we're going to do a rotation. And that rotation is going to come from the upper part of our spine. So the lower part, our hips and pelvis, or what are called our lumbar spine, are going to stay still and fixed to the forward position. But the top of the spine, sort of from here, and a bit of the neck as well, is going to add that rotation. So sit up nice and tall, and then from here, slowly rotate that right elbow slightly back, as we rotate just from the upper spine. The rest of my body from sort of hands down is staying in its same position. Good, and then slowly coming back to the center, coming over to the other side. Maybe it feels like the left shoulder is dropping back as well as that elbow, but of course the arms aren't pulling us. It's the spine that's rotating. Good, and then slowly come back. This time, if you'd like, go ahead and add that head and neck. So as we rotate, 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 think of that rotation coming up the spine, and then when you feel like you can add the head, you might want to take that bit of a shoulder check and take your gaze, or what we call our drishti, back over that right shoulder. Then let the head come back first over top of those hands, and then bring that torso back. Good. Coming over to our last side, rotate through that upper spine, twisting around, and then that head might come with you as you take that gaze over the left shoulder. Allow the head to come back to the center, over top of the heart, and then let that torso come back to meet you. Good. Now releasing those arms, again, back to those arm swings that we've been to a lot today. We'll go for a larger twist this time, taking our left hand onto the right thigh. Swim the fingertips back of the right hand to the back of the chair or into the small of your back. Sit up nice and tall, lift that crown up, and as you exhale, slowly rotate around your spine. Now you'll feel the difference now. We're moving a lot more through that lower belly, mid-belly, then the chest, then the shoulder. A significantly, probably larger twist. And then unwind yourself. Taking the right hand onto left thigh, swimming the left fingertips back behind the chair or into the small of the back. Inhale, nice tall spine, and then slowly rotate. Lower belly, mid-belly, chest, shoulders, and breathe, holding that tall pose, and then unwinding. We'll go one more time through opposite time. This time again, adding the neck in if you'd like. Once you've reached your pretty much full twist of the spine, go ahead and take that chin and see if it can come and look over your back shoulder. Again, allowing the head to come back first. Unwind yourself the way you came in, the way you come out. Last time through, sitting up nice and tall, twisting, twisting, twisting. Head may come into play last. Head releases, release the rest of the spine, and then take those hands down to the thighs. Allow that torso to come forward, hinging at the hips. This time you might want to let those fingertips glide all the way down the legs to land closer to the feet, and then release the head down, rounding through the back, feeling the nice long length of the spine. Good, and then slowly walk those hands up the thighs, ensuring that you don't come too fast. And then sitting ourselves back up into that chair. Take yourself now back so that you sit completely flush with the back of your chair. You'll probably have to adjust your footrest if you have it. Taking a moment to make sure that you have equal pressure on both bum cheeks. So just take a moment, a little rock, to see that you have that grounding underneath you. Hands are going to open up again onto the thighs, palms facing up. Again, the whole idea about what are you receiving in your practice and what are you giving in your practice. It's that sort of yin and yang idea. The two go together, they complement each other. But in this position, make sure that those shoulders didn't creep up. Make sure they've dropped down. So lift up from the pelvis, but drop down through those shoulders. And then slowly take your gaze and tuck your chin in and just find some length through the back of the neck. You might feel that pull coming all the way down the spine. Again, we're looking for ease in our poses. Ease with a little bit of work. So if this is causing you any discomfort in your neck or your back, please keep the bow forward of the head very small. And then slowly draw a line up with your nose, setting the head back on top of the spine. And then softly close your eyes and go inward for a moment. Sink back into the support of your chair. And direct your attention to your feet. Send softness to your feet. And then direct your attention to your shins. And let that softness and release engulf both of your shins. And then send your direction to your knees. And release any tension that might be there. Send your attention now to the thighs and through the hip joints. And release all the body into the seat of your chair. Send your focus now into the torso, the belly, up the spine and down the spine, releasing as you go. And then send your direction to both your shoulders and let that tension just flow right out of those palms facing up. Soften and release. And give up any tension that you may be holding. And then direct your attention all the way up to the crown of your head. Send any further tension out of the crown, releasing and softening the entire body. And softly bringing your attention back to your body and back to the chair. Slowly moving those toes once more. Little pitter and a little patter of the toes. Awaking the body back to your day. And then softly bringing your gaze and opening it up, bringing yourself back into your space, releasing those toes back to the ground or back to the block. Take those arms and reach them as high as you can, taking a deep breath in, bringing the palms of your hands together, the give and the receive. Bringing them down towards your heart, sealing our practice with both what we've provided and given, as well as what we've received. Namaste.